Okay, here we are. Video quality is probably not going to be the greatest because I'm on this little camera, but today we're talking about seed potatoes. I've got 5 different varieties outside here, and I cut some up, label some areas, some bags and stuff to keep them, separated, so I know what I got where. I'll try to be quick. Looks like it's going to rain. So seed potatoes. First question is, do you have to use them? No, you don't have to use them. You can get any old eyed-up potato from the store. It's supposed to be organic, is always recommended. I personally never bother with trying to find just organic because they say they have a sprout inhibitor, but the ones you get from the store sprout pretty dang easy. I mean, they seem to sprout too easy because they're sprouted by the time you get them. So let's go over what I have here. I got this blue Rondax. I'm looking forward to trying some of these. They get a little damp, but they're still good. So it's kind of pretty blue growth on them already for the chits. So I got these. I only got 3. That's one reason why I'm going to cut them up. I've got some Yukon Golds. I've got some big box store Yukon Golds. I got 3 of these little bags. For a total of, I think, 17 potatoes. I cut a few of these up. And then we'll talk about why you might want to do that here in a minute. German Butterball. Ordered these online. Got these. Pretty nice looking potatoes. Not the biggest potatoes in the world, but a lot of these seed potatoes aren't. So these are going to be a decent size when it comes to throwing them in the slow cooker. Cut them up and throw them in there. I got these Gold Rush. 10-pack of Gold Rush. Another big box store variety. These are a russet potato, if I remember right. Growing through the little plastic holes. So I'll have to tear that open here in a minute. I've got the garlic in the background, just happened to be with my potatoes. I got these Red Norlands. I've got 2 packs of those. Here's a 10-pack of Red Norlands. These are past, ready to plant. So I'll probably just plant these whole, although I could cut them up, I don't know. And I got some the other day. I saw them at a grocery store. Actually, they were selling seed potatoes at a grocery store, which was kind of surprising a little bit, but maybe they're trying to help people prepare. I don't know. So I got these, and these are about perfect for cutting up or just planting whole. All right, now, question, why would you want to do this? For one, like with these, I only have 3 of them. So I'm not going to get a whole lot of potatoes if I don't try and get more. One way of getting more, cut them. Try and keep where you have at least 1 or 2 eyes on each piece. So you can cut these, like I can cut this one in half. And I'm sure I will. This one, I might cut it in half just because I'm desperate for more potatoes, like right between these chits. Otherwise I would just plant a hole. This one I might cut into thirds, or at least maybe halves. But it looks like it's got a couple of small little wannabe eyes forming, so maybe I'll cut this way and then this way or something. I don't decided yet. Try and get some more of these. Now the logic goes, if you have a whole potato, which is how I normally plant mine, then you'll get smaller potatoes because you'll have a lot of plants growing off of one area, eyes, each being a plant. And you'll get more potatoes in a smaller space, making smaller potatoes. I haven't really had a problem with the size of potatoes I've been growing, and I usually plant whole, so I don't know how true that is, but we're going to find out this year. In my particular case, I'm cutting them because I want to get more potatoes out of my seed potatoes. So that's the thing. It's supposed to be, and we'll find out, you cut them in half or thirds or whatever, less plants per area, you get bigger potatoes, and more area you can plant them whole, smaller potatoes in one little area. But for my purposes, I want to plant more than 3. So if I can get, say, 6, then I can maybe put a row or 2 rows of potatoes in the garden bed and maybe 1 or 2 in pots. It just depends on where I find space. Now, why am I growing 5 different varieties in my small backyard garden? A couple of reasons. One, these don't all mature at the same time. These, I think, are 100 to 110 days. These are also like 90 or 100 days. These are like 70 days. So they mature at different times, so I'll get different harvests, especially if I space them out. Like, say I plant these, and then 2 weeks later I plant some of these, and then I plant these at the same time. Then I come back and I plant some of these. So I can have different harvests at different times. So I don't have a huge rush of potatoes all at once. I don't mind having a huge rush of potatoes all at once, personally, because I'm planning on eating them and storing them, and whenever they've been storing for a while, I'm going to maybe can them or dehydrate some or whatever it is I'm doing with them. I don't want to see them go to waste, though. I don't want mine having a big amount at one time. I'm also going to want to hold a few, so I'm going to try and do a fall crop, whichever one that I like the most. I'll pick one or two or three varieties and do a couple of plantings, for the fall, maybe just a couple in pots, so I get some seed potatoes for next year. But anyway, so aside from them being ready at different times, what if one is more resistant to disease in this area than others? I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Now, these red New Orleans I grew, these are not my red New Orleans, these are ones from the store, but this variety I grew last year, and if you watch my potato harvest video, I had an odd-sized bed. It was just made out of scrap lumber, but approximately 4.5 feet by 4.5 feet, and I had 3 tomatoes growing in the back half, so maybe the front 3 feet of it or so. I planted potatoes, and I got about 23 pounds or something like that. I have to go back and watch the video again to see how many I got. So these perform really well for me. But I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, because what if they don't this year? What if pest, disease, whatever, and maybe one of these other varieties does better? So by having different varieties, I increase the odds that at least one of them will do well for me. Russets, I don't know if it's this exact variety you buy in the store. It's the Gold Rush. I don't know what kind of russet it is that you find in the store, but I know the brand, the russet varieties that you find in the store. So these should be a nice one. These are a starchy one, and they're supposed to have a really nice flavor. I've never grown these before. Yukon Gold's standard. Everybody loves these, and other gardeners. Nice buttery flavor. These, I kind of like these. Like if you watched my video yesterday, before yesterday, about nutrition, things that tend to be colorful, like these blues, tend to have more nutrients than the ones that are just plain. So anthocyanins and stuff. So this red and these blues give you a little bit of nutrition boost. So they all serve their purpose. They all have a potential of doing well in the garden. I hope they all do well, but just in case one of them fails, I've got others to fall back on. I have one more set of potatoes. I ordered French fingerlings way back in January. I still never received them. I talked to somebody at the company Friday. Well, I'm not sure what day I'll upload this, but recently, I guess it'd be by the time this is updated, they said they're supposed to ship soon. So I'm hoping I will end up with one more potato to make 6 varieties, the French fingerlings, because they're supposed to be good flavor. Now let's go ahead and cut some of these up, and then we'll show what they look like. Okay, I cut up these Adirondack blues. They're very juicy. They're a beautiful blue color on the inside. So I'm going to leave these, let them skin for a few days. I'm probably going to let them skin over for about a week. Just going to throw them in a paper bag. Get these German butterballs, a nice yellow color on the inside. There's no real rhyme or reason as to cut them. I'm just trying to get an eye on each side, or more than one eye on each side. Most of these are eyeing only on the top and not really eyeing anywhere else. So it seems to be how they're eyeing. But there's a few of them that are eyeing on both sides. I was able to cut or split down the middle. And there's no real rhyme or reason as far as how much potato you need to leave behind. This is the starting energy of the plant that's going to be growing out of this. So it's going to have roots and stuff. So as long as it has enough energy to get started, you don't really need the rest of the potato or anything else. Oftentimes I'll dig the potatoes up. I'll find the old seed potato in there. So you don't have to have a lot of potato left, like a big chunk like this one. One of these smaller ones, it's just a sliver. It should work just fine as well for this. Going down the list, got the Yukon Gold. That's a nice buttery looking potato. Makes me want to take a bite of it. I've got 17 of these potatoes in there, so I don't really need a whole lot for space, to cover space. So I cut up a few of them just to test to see if there's a difference between these. I was trying to mark these and check those comparisons versus the rest. See if it looks, like they're any difference. And of course, the great thing about this is if these turn to be just as good, and there's no difference between planting one of these and one of these that's whole, then I don't need to save as many seed potatoes, because I can always cut some up, or could spend less money if I buy them. So, mentioned earlier at the top of the video about, no, you don't need to get seed potatoes, but there are some advantages to doing that, aside from being certified disease-free and all that stuff. Whenever I planted regular potatoes that weren't seed potatoes, I got potatoes. In fact, I have some volunteer potatoes growing in the garden right now. I don't even know what kind they are. They might be ones from the store. They might be some other variety. But that's one reason why I know it's time to start planting them, because the ones I missed from last year are starting to pop up in my garden beds. But for one, you can get different varieties, obviously. Maybe not just whatever's in the store. You know, you don't really find some of these varieties, especially the blue ones and things like that, at the store. French fingerlings don't really find them at the store. Potatoes are generally cheap, but not all of them are. Some of them are gourmet, like French fingerlings and maybe the German butterballs. So another good reason to plant these is these are like more of a consistent yield. Whenever you look these up, they'll tell you how much you should get per pound of potatoes planted, about what your yield should be. Whenever I planted regular store-bought potatoes, it was all over the map. I would get sometimes hardly any potatoes from a certain plant. I had one plant that gave me 8 pounds from one plant. That was the most ever. It's a record for me. It was unreal. That plant produced potatoes all over the place. It's ridiculous. But the plant right, in the same bed gave me almost nothing. So they're very, you just don't know what you're going to get with store-bought potatoes. These are a lot more consistent. And I think as cheap as these are to get, at least at the moment, I think these were $3 a bag, $3.24 a bag. So, now if I was doing a huge field of these things, it would make sense to buy them in bulk. But even just buying a handful of these at the box store, cutting a few up, growing some, and then having your own seed potatoes, it's not bad. Here's the russet gold rush. It looks just like a store-bought potato. It's a white flesh on the inside. These I'm expecting, or at least hoping, should do some research and find out. These will store for a while. That's kind of what I'm hoping with these, is the storage life might be longer than some of the other ones. Because russets are what you buy at the store, and they're going to select the ones at the store for ones that have stable shelf lives and things of that sort. I mean, thinking commercially, these have to be grown, trucked somewhere, put on the shelf and last for, however long purchased, brought home, put in the cabinet, whatever. So, wind's starting to pick up here, so I have to hurry up my video. So I'm hoping that I'll get a good shelf life out of these. Okay, for the Norlands, these ones from the store here are, I guess I could cut them up. I got a lot of them, and I'm not going to cut these up. I'm just going to plant those. In fact, I'll probably just plant those in a few minutes. Get these as the first round of ones. Probably cut a couple of these up for the experiment, and these can go sit for a while. These will get in the ground here soon. Okay, so I got the first planting of potatoes done. The ones I grew last year, you can see them sticking up all over. That back side right there is where the ones that I had stored. The other ones over here are seed potatoes. There's a lot of trash here. It's the next day, and see, they're starting to skin up. It's very soft and tender still, but that's what it looks like after one day. There's a blue one. Let's take a look at one of these other ones. Okay, so it's been about another week or so, maybe a little less, since I updated on these. So over here, where I've got the seed potatoes that were really rooted out and looked really good, you see these are growing excellently, nice and green. Just waiting to get some full sun for the day, but they're right by this fence, so. But they are doing fantastic. They look great. Nice and green, healthy, no pest damage, no problems. And over here, where I had the ones that were old out of storage with the crazy long tendrils of growth that had been put up for a long time, they're a little bit further behind. They'll catch up, but they're starting to come up now. So now I've got some of those Not all of them have come up yet over here, but it looks like a few of them have, and you can see the obvious growth difference. Those are, you know, 10 inches tall or so, foot tall over there, and these are just popping up. So these are a couple inches tall.